In a world of glitz and glam, flashing lights and screaming fans, most people are unaware of the war that rages behind the scenes. And that war includes your favorite artist and your favorite songs. This is The Dark Side of Songwriting. Hosted by Nayim Edwards.
Welcome to The Dark Side of Songwriting. My name is Nayim Edwards. I am your host, and today let's discuss the Grammys in totality and a few of the situations that went down at this year's ceremony. So the first thing I want to say is, what is a Grammy? Plain and simply put, a Grammy is the highest achievement you can get in music and in music business. Point blank period. This is the award that says you were the best of the best in your category for the time being in the time period amongst your industry and amongst your peers. You are being recognized as top dog, honcho. You are number one in your field. This is why it matters. People like to say, oh, the Grammys don't matter, and we don't care about the Grammys. And, you know, Jay-Z up there talk about they don't get it right. We love y'all, but we just want y'all to get it right. Look, every artist comes to a crossroad in their career where they have to decide what is important to them. You could come into this game starry-eyed and say, all I want is a Grammy. I'm going to work until I get a Grammy. I don't care what I got to do. I'm going to get there and get my Grammy. You could come in like that, but you, along your personal journey, because we all have different journeys, you can realize like maybe a Grammy is just not something that I want because I found something else. I found my way in something else. You can see that, yes, the system is rigged. Nothing is real. Like, you know, you can see, you could have a change of heart, or you can stick to whatever your plan is. So a Grammy being important to you is just contingent on if it is important to you, whether you're going to show up or not, whether you're going to do these things, which leads me into Jay-Z's speech after accepting the Dr. Dre Award, right? Jay-Z was up there pitching and moaning about Beyonce being the most decorated artist of all time, having the most Grammys of all artists of all time. She has 32 Grammys, by the way, but she never won Album of the Year. And they feel like that the Grammys did not get it right. The Grammys, I'm not going to say that they don't get it right, but I'm not going to say that they did get it right. Because if you know anything about Album of the Year, you know that it's just basically this popularity contest amongst the people who are on the board. If you know anything about Grammy boards, I know a few people on Grammy boards. People on Grammy boards are elected people in the music industry. And everybody knows both of these people. So it's not like you can say who knows what or this goes that. It's just a matter of who is more visible to you. The only difference between Taylor Swift and Beyonce is Beyonce is not going to be all over social media directly talking to you, doing all of this. You know, it's just not going to be that, but she's going to hone in on that 100% ironclad media training and just give you the art and give you the best art that there is, the best original, everything. And she brings her people in and she does all of these things. But people from all over, it's just not as generic as it is with Taylor Swift. There's no other way to say it. Beyonce is not as generic. So generic is always going to be something that supersedes, but also understanding that Album of the Year, because Beyonce is so decorated and it's not even close, the fact that Beyonce, how do I say it? People are always going to gatekeep to try to keep you out when they feel like they can't win no other way. It's like in these schools, I don't say elementary, but in these schools and stuff, you know, you might have schools that have lacrosse and schools that have hockey and schools that have tennis, but a school that dominates in football and basketball and baseball, they won't give them no other sports. They won't try to usher in no other sports because this is a way to make sure that we have something on the outside that we can keep. We have something that we can control and we can have, because if we let you have that, then it's just going to be a freight train and run away. This is a game of politics. This is not a game of talent and all of these other things all the time. It's just not. So with Jay-Z saying, we want y'all to get it right, Again, like I said in the beginning, everybody comes to a crossroad. Is this important to you or it's not? Anybody that is operating at those type of levels, they care about the Grammys. They get, oh, we boycotting, we stay at home, we don't care, you don't know us, you don't know nothing about my culture. Look at the people that's on these boards. It's all type of people from all type of places and all type of walks of life. It's, you care about it and you should demand more. Another thing, and then I say demand more, i.e., you're going to have to get out there if you really care about getting these Grammys, getting these things. A lot of these people don't know that you have to get out there and you're going to have to shake hands and kiss babies. If you ever seen the show House of Cards, when it was time for, going up until when it was time to like vote for bills or vote for something in the House or the Senate or something, they had to go from person to person. Okay, what can I do for you? What can I do to secure your vote? They're not going to tell you that this is what they do, but this is what they do. You're going to have to go from person to person and shake hands and kiss babies. There was a time, they said it was a rumor where they said that Beyonce and Jay-Z wasn't showing up nowhere if they didn't get no trophies. Don't even ask them to come if they're not going to get something. And they know that if Beyonce is there, the views is going to be up. If Jay-Z is there, the views is going to be up. We're going to be able to sell a different type of advertising because we can flash Beyonce on the screen. We can flash Jay-Z or whatever. We can bring in different types of audience. The same thing with everybody in there. Another thing is, you have to pick your side, man. Like we have to pick a side. Is it important or is it not? Do they get it right or do they not? Because you can't say I'm a boycott, because he said he boycott, but he sat home and he watched the year he was nominated, but DMX wasn't nominated. A lot of these things are contention on who is behind the scene. So if you care, because people always talk that imaginary infiltration, if you care, you have your people behind the scene. You have somebody back there that can influence and do that. But again, this is not the Recording Academy, that doesn't belong to you. So they can do what they want to do. Point blank, period. This moves me into Killer Mike and winning Album of the Year. A lot of people I seen online, like the younger people, they were upset because Travis Scott didn't win it. Album of the Year, Killer Mike absolutely deserved it. And Album of the Year is usually, I would say, a little bit more mature. He won Rap Album of the Year. A little bit more of a mature type of award. Rap Album of the Year, as well as like Album of the Year, but Rap Album of the Year in particular has to do with not just the rapper, but it has to do with the production. It has to do with how it came together. It has to do with the messaging. It has to do with everything in there. And people need to understand that just because I seen people, I ain't heard one song off his album, and this album wasn't this, and this album wasn't that. Killer Mike understood, when he was doing his press and he was going around. I remember 7 months ago, he was on the Breakfast Club and all of that stuff. When he was going around and he was doing his thing, he was constantly promoting the album, constantly talking about it being this, constantly saying, he wants a Grammy for this. This is his best work, what he put into it. People need to know how much went into your project and how much doing all of this. Travis Scott wasn't going to win that anyway. He didn't deserve it. He just didn't. He wasn't going to win that. It wasn't better than Killer Mike album because of how much went into Killer Mike's Michael album. People need to also understand that one demographic of people don't make up music. It's not just one type of people, one race of people, one group of people that make music. Everybody makes music. This is why when you look in there, because my thing is meritocracy is just not a real thing when it comes to music, because how many of the most talented people do you see never get anything? How many of the most talented people that you see, i.e. Beyonce, you don't get Album of the Year when you had the biggest year, the biggest album, the biggest cultural shift? It's not about that. They going off of straight, because if we was going off cultural shifts, only a few people would be able to be getting awards. You know what I'm saying? Only a few people would be able to be getting recognition and acknowledgement for the work that they do. Killer Mike has they have kind of the same reach, but Killer Mike has the ability to go beyond just rap music in a sense of you would know who Killer Mike is if you was over in the gun world. You would know who Killer Mike is if you was over into politics because his hands stretch over there. He has run the jewels, so he's able to reach a diverse amount of people. He also went and did the work. Travis Scott doesn't go out and do all these interviews and talk to people and shake hands and kiss babies. The same thing when I was talking about with Jay-Z. It's politics. This is the game of politics. And you are going to come into this game a politician if you want to play at that level. You're going to have to. He deserved it because of everything that went into it. The sounds, the story, pointed it. That is the rap album of the year because that, not just because it was the best one on the list, absolutely, but just because that is what people would know rap to be. Those people that's on them boards and stuff like that, when they looking at these things, they're looking for the story. They looking for the attachment. They looking for something that grab them. They looking for that emotion that pull them in. They looking for who did you bring in there. You got legends coming in to do your stuff. You know, it's a lot of things. I remember when Esperanza Spalding won over Justin Bieber, and people just couldn't figure out how she won over Justin Bieber when Justin Bieber was the more popular person, but more popular to who? Obviously not as popular as her winning, because she's known outside of the bubble that people have created for themselves, thinking that artists are only, if you're not in my bubble and you're not in my view and I don't know you, then you just can't exist. There's no object permanence outside of the bubbles these people have created in music, and that's the problem. Thinking that music has a gate, music has a boundary, music has whatever. The difference between your favorite and somebody else's favorite is how much exposure has happened with you and them. So it's if you're not a politician and you decided that you wanted to participate in these systems, you need to get a political consultant on how to move in these people's game, in these people's industry, because you're not going to get the trophy. You're not going to get the things. You're not going to get the recognition. And anybody can apply. Like all your friends could be on the Grammy board, and they can, you can apply and say, hey, I want to nominate this. And you have 3 people say, okay, cool. 3 people vote on this. This how it go. You'll have 30 people submit their work, and it'll come out to 6 or 7 that get the actual nomination, because they have to vote on those 30 to see which ones they would consider. Hey, pick 10. And then they'll come back and say pick 5 or whatever. If it's 30, pick 15. Then they'll come back and say pick 7, and it'll be 7 of the people that make it. That's how that works. And then at the end, they just vote on that. Whoever get the most votes win. It's a game of politics. So I think those was the only 2 incidents. Because I looped that Taylor Swift in with that Jay-Z. But yeah, man, like, I mean, that's just it. So yeah, I had a funeral to attend. Just had me down, man. I'm sick, but I'm here, and we'll be back again tomorrow. This is the Dark Side of Songwriting.